So I'm going to explain just a general basic overview of how Canada's elections work. They don't vote directly for the Prime Minister. They vote for different candidates that are running in their districts. And then the majority of the party that wins gets to be the ruling government if there's a majority government. But in the 2019 and 2021 elections, there was a minority government. There's no problem with the minority government. It's called a minority parliament or a hung parliament. So Trudeau, he only had 30% of the vote or something. So he only got 30% of the vote. And so what that means when you have a hung parliament, so you have a minority party that is ruling the parliament, is that they'll have to work with other coalitions. They'll have to work with other political parties. They'll have to form a coalition government to get any of the legislation passed. In order to get any of the legislation passed, they need a majority to get that legislation passed. What does that mean? Ultimately, I'm going to tell you what the electoral strategy should be, because I like this Jagmeet Singh. And Jagmeet Singh has candidates in every one of these districts. So a lot of the American media is just kind of saying, is it Mark Carney or is it going to be Pierre Poilievre, or is it going to be Pierre or Carney, Mark or Pierre, Mark or Pierre? But that's silly. Jagmeet Singh is definitely a major political player. Jagmeet Singh, and then the Quebec Party and the Green Party and the People's Party aren't as big. And I'll scroll through some of these candidates, okay? So here's Newfoundland and Labrador. If you take a look at the districts, so when Avalon goes to vote, they're not voting for Mark Carney. They're not voting for Pierre. They're not voting for Jagmeet. They're going to vote for this either Judy Vanta, Steve Kent, or Paul Connors. Here's Steve Kent, former Canadian politician. Tom Osborne, right? Some of these people actually have Wikipedia pages. Mary Shortall. So look at the Greens. You know, if you're in Avalon, you can't vote for a Green because they didn't get a candidate. The Greens don't have a candidate for these. But in terms of the New Democratic Party has candidates for all of the 343 districts. What they call the districts in Canada, they call it ridings. So in all the 343 ridings, R-I-D-I-N-G, 343 ridings, the New Democratic Party has candidates that they have put on the ballot. What does that mean? That means Jagmeet Singh definitely has a chance to become Prime Minister. And even if he doesn't have, even if he doesn't win the Prime Minister seat, I would feel proud. I would feel great for voting for Jagmeet Singh or voting for the New Democratic Party. I'd feel great voting for Judy Vanta or Brenda Walsh or Darian Vincent, Marius Normore, Sarah Parsons, Mary Shortall, or Liam Ryan. I would be very happy voting for these people. Why? Because even if the Liberals or the Conservatives or the New Democratic Party, let's just say the Greens, let's say somehow the Greens, end up taking the whole thing, which is impossible, but just for the sake of argument. Let's say the Greens get 30% of the House seats, and so they're the plurality winner, and therefore the Governor General, the sovereign, which why do they have a sovereign? Who the hell chose that? And then also Senate, all their Senate seats are appointed. So this is all, the federal elections is all about the House of Commons. They're not voting for the Prime Minister. They're not voting for the Prime Minister. They're just voting for their district, okay? And so I'm getting to the tactics too quick, but you know what? I'll just say the tactic, and then I got a couple notes here too. So the tactic is this. If I'm living in Prince Edward Island, I'm going to vote for Maria Rodriguez. Why? Because she's going to be, or not Maria, Lynn Thiel, or Joe Bryan, or Byrne, Carol Rabinski, or Cassie McKay. And I'd be happy with Carol Rabinski, assuming that she has a lot of the similar beliefs of Jagmeet Singh. If Carol Rabinski has a lot of the similar beliefs of Jagmeet Singh, then that means she'll be there in Parliament fighting for your interest. She'll be fighting for the working class. And so if the Greens were to take, if the Prime Minister comes from the Greens, they have a minority government, a hung parliament. That means in order for the Greens to pass any legislation, they'll have to work with other coalitions. And who are the Greens going to work with? Are they going to work with the Liberals, the Conservatives, the New Democratic Party? They'll work with anybody that will work with them. And so it's probably better for Canada that they don't have a majority government, that they don't have a majority parliament. If they have a majority parliament, then it might be super efficient, and then that majority party will get whatever legislation they put up will get passed. But it'd be very authoritarian, it'd be very one-sided, totalitarian, fascistic, if not straight up fascist. So the New Democratic Party, not only does Jagmeet Singh have a very good chance of winning this thing, of becoming the Prime Minister, even if he doesn't, he's got 24 seats now. You need at least 12 seats to be an official party. And so he'll, probably keep the 24 seats. But if he picks up some seats, this is a good thing. This is such a smart thing. The Diverger's Law will not apply to Canada because of the way that they do their elections. So let's go through the notes again, and I'll keep scrolling down through this list here. Look, every one of these spots, the New Democratic Party has somebody that's running in every fucking district. So there's a representative in every district. And so if they're able to get, 40% of the vote, if 40% of the New Democrats are able to win their district, their little seats, their little districts, their little House of Commons, their little, kind of House of Representative, if they're able to win 30 or 40% of the seat, the plurality, then Jagmeet Singh would be the leader of that party, and therefore he would be the Prime Minister. So the party with the largest number of seats forms the government. It's not technically proportional voting, so you can't call it proportional voting. They do say it's first past the post, but it's a little complicated because they don't vote directly for the Prime Minister. They vote for the representative, and if they get enough Greens or Liberals or Conservatives, whoever is the biggest party out of the Greens and the People's Party and the New Democrats and the Conservatives and the Liberals, that's where the Prime Minister comes from. Trudeau's been running a minority government since 2019. In 2015, he had a majority government, but then that changed in 2019. So when Pierre is sitting there saying the last 10 years of a liberal decade, Pierre is lying to you. Pierre is lying to you. Pierre has had significant amount of power from 2019 on, because if the Liberals want to get anything passed from 2019 on, they would have had to have worked with the Conservatives or the New Democrats or the Greens or the People's Party. They would have had to have worked with any of these other parties. And so, in something that would be more important when I hear about minority government, I'd like to know what kind of coalition they created. Because if the Liberals got in power and then they, align themselves with the New Democrats, well, that would be awesome. That would be exciting. And if there was enough New Democrats that the Liberals could get their stuff passed, then they would have progressive legislation. They probably will have to, get some of the Conservatives, right? Since the main opposition party were the Conservative Party. So that just means you got one 30% party and another 29% party. And so if they both could agree, Liberals and Conservatives, well, then that's a majority. So I think there's no problem with it being a hung parliament or a minority parliament. There is no problems with that because that's good for the New Democratic Party. So let's presume, the worst. Jagmeet Singh doesn't become the Prime Minister of Canada. But the New Democratic Party, they win 100 seats. It wasn't the majority, it wasn't the plurality, but they got 100 seats. Well, that's 100 voters. That means whoever fucking wins, the Greens, Conservatives, Liberals, let's say the People's Party. If the People's Party wins, they'll have to ask the New Democrats. There's 100 voting members in Parliament. And so either they'll pass something that they like, and if they pass something that if they propose something that the New Democrats like, then that's 100 fucking votes in their pocket. And 100 votes, all they need is a majority of 343, which is, I don't know, do some math here. What is it, 150, let's see, 20, 22. So they need 172 votes or so, something like that. So if they could get 172 votes, well, they got 100 New Democratic votes. So that means now they got to get 72 votes from somebody else. So it doesn't fucking matter, technically, it doesn't fucking matter who the Prime Minister is, because if anything, Trudeau is going to get all the blame because he's the head of state, he's the face of the government, but he's been leading a minority party. He's been leading a minority party, which means he only won by a plurality. He does not, the majority of the people who are in Parliament in Canada today are not Liberals. The Liberals only represent, the last election was 2021, and then he had got, 33% of the seats. He got 157 seats. So that means he still needs to get, 15 or 20 more votes in order to get his stuff passed. Well, to get 20 more votes, well, guess what? The Democratic New Democratic Party has 24 seats. The Greens got 3. The People's Party had 0. And then the Quebec Party had 32 seats. And then the Conservatives had 121 seats. So where are they going to get the 20 votes from? They can get it from the Quebeckies. They can get it from the Conservatives. They can only get 3 seats from the Greens. But basically, they can get votes from the New Democratic Party, the Quebec Party, or the Conservative Party in order to pass their legislation. So that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. It's actually a really smart system because it's a little complicated, but it's not too complicated. It's not beyond, comprehension. Well, there's one little gap here. So South Shore, St. Margaret's don't have a New Democratic Party. But so far, every one of these spots, right? If you're in Halifax, Central Nova, Acadie, Annapolis, if you're in Acadie, Bathurst, every one of these are filled. Every one of these are filled. Let's just go down and see. We saw one blank, right? One blank make sure that was the New Democrat Party. See, New Democrat Party. Yep, all of them are there. Yep, all of them are there. Yep, New Democrats, all the way down the damn thing, all the way down. And so if New Democrats get 100, seats, but Jagmeet Singh isn't the prime minister, New Democrats have a lot of fucking political power. So I would feel good, when it comes to voting for a Green Party or a Libertarian or a third party in America. It kind of is throwing your vote away in some respects. It's a protest vote, but it would not be throwing your vote away to vote for the New Democratic Party. If you get the New Democratic Party to be your representative, that's your representative, That's the person that's in Congress fighting for your interest. You don't have to be like America. If anything, America should show you that Obama got us Trump. Biden got us Trump. So these fucking Democrats are right-wing conservatives. They didn't do anything progressive. They didn't do anything liberal. They didn't do anything for the American people. And then the rhetoric of the working class or whatever has gone to the fucking right-wing billionaire class. All the billionaires are going to represent the working class. Why? Because the fucking Democrats didn't represent the working class. So I hope that Canada learns from America's mistakes. Obama got us Trump. Biden got us Trump. You know what would have stopped the Trump? Bernie Sanders would have stopped the Trump. And so what would stop, getting a fucking conservative to crash Canada's economy? Get a Bernie Sanders. And who's your Bernie Sanders? It's your New Democratic Party. Your New Democratic Party is your Bernie Sanders. So it makes sense to vote for your Bernie Sanders. Gregory Evdokias. Every one of these spots. I just saw one blank. And I heard that all the parties, none of them had full, 343. They all were missing one. The liberals and the conservatives were missing one as well. New Democrat Party, look at that. Every one of these, New Democrat Party, every one of those seats, they got candidates in every single district. They got candidates in every single district. All 343 districts, the New Democratic Party, except for that one, they have a candidate. So Corey Wagner is going to go into Parliament. He's going to fight for the working class. Theresa Ye is going to fight for the working class. Ruby Zalman. It would be awesome. You know how awesome it would be if Canada, it's like Mexico. Mexico, chose Claudia Baum. That was so fucking smart. I think it's brilliant. I think that's brilliant. And then it doesn't matter, I don't know. When it comes to strength, ultimately, whoever controls the state, you'll have the control of the police and the army and all that. So you could be strong or just have a strong will. Are you physically strong? I don't know. But when it looks like who's physically stronger, who could actually win in a arm wrestling match, I think that Jagmeet Singh could beat Mark Carney and Pierre in an arm wrestling match or a wrestling match or a UFC or a boxing thing. I'm just saying that he looks big and strong and tough. He's got big, broad shoulders. It looks like he works out. He stands tall. And Mark Carney's talking about a strong America, but he looks like a little tiny pipsqueak. He looks like a tiny little pipsqueak. So, again, more New Democratic Party, Let's see. Make sure I got... So the voters do not vote directly for the Prime Minister in Canada. The leader of the party with the majority of the MPs. And what do the MPs stand for? I forget. It's just their districts, right? The MPs, member of parliament. So they're MPs. If they get a majority of the MPs, then the leader of their party becomes the prime minister. Their senators are fucking appointed. The governor general is the sovereign. So, they kind of are under the auspices of fucking King fucking Henry VIII or whatever. There's 5 major political parties in Canada. 5 major political parties in Canada. And a hung parliament and a minority parliament, that's not a terrible thing. It'll just mean it'll be a little bit more difficult. So, I mean, just think about the Liberals for the last 6 years. They were 20 votes short. They were 20 votes short of getting a majority. So if they could get the New Democratic Party on board, then they would have got passed. It would have made a lot of sense for Trudeau to just right off the top ally himself with the New Democratic Party. And now it's not a minority parliament, but it's a coalition government. And then the New Democrats and the Liberals could have passed any damn thing that they wanted to. So the New Democratic Party has candidates in all 343 districts. This Governor General, the sovereign for the Governor General thing, that isn't very smart. I don't know what the hell that is. Ottawa, Quebec, advanced polls close tomorrow, so there's been 4 days of voting right now. And hopefully Canadians haven't fucked up. They could have voted on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The advance voting closes tomorrow, and it's paper ballots too, so I don't know how quick they'll be able to count up their ballots. But it's not tomorrow, it's the Monday after tomorrow. So in 8 days, then the election will be over. What did, Jagmeet Singh bring to Canada? Well, he brought dental and pharmaceutical. He brought, he expanded the universal health care to include pharmaceuticals and dental. Wouldn't that be nice? Just go into the hospital and get a checkup and not have to worry about, medical bankruptcy. Just get your meds. If you need some meds, just get in and, get your teeth fixed without having to, take out a fucking mortgage on your home, without having to take a small loan out of the banks if they're even lending anything. So the Greens were not in the debate. I don't know, because they didn't have enough seats, maybe, because you need 12 seats to be an official party. But the Quebec Party, you have the Quebec Party, you got the New Democrat Party, the Liberal and the Conservative Party. So Jagmeet Singh is going to protect the social programs in the House of Commons. If you vote for the New Democratic Party, that will protect your social programs. Whatever the New Democratic Party stands for, if you vote for the New Democratic Party, they will vote for your interest in Parliament. Would you want them to be a part of the, ruling class or whatever? I guess to feel like a winner, you are a winner. If the New Democrat Party, if your candidate wins, they'll go in and they'll fight for New Democratic Party ideals. So you do win. If you win, then you win. What does it matter if you fucking feel like a winner or don't feel like a winner? If you won the fucking thing, you should feel like a fucking winner. It doesn't make any sense to me, actually. It's just America's fucking bullshit. It's just how America is. It's like, well, you gotta have a candidate that you can win the thing, Oh, so Bernie, who actually has real ideals, he can't win the thing, but some asshole like Biden, who's, got the confidence of a snake, a snake oil salesman, he could be electable, that's... Technically, everybody's electable, but the conversation in America is so fucking stupid. Let's just keep going. New Democratic Party, still no holes. Every one of these districts. New Democratic Party has somebody in all of these districts. And look, there's a big hole right there. So, Ponoka, if you're in Ponoka, you can't vote for the Liberal anyways. So, what are the people in Ponoka going to do? They can't vote for the Liberal. So, if everybody's like, you can't split the vote because, they have to. People in Ponoka, they have to vote for the Conservative. They have to vote for the New Democrat or the People's, Party. They have to vote for Logan Hooley. Ponoka, Didsbury has to vote for Logan Hooley. They got to. They don't have a choice. There's no fucking Liberal to vote for. Let's keep going down, And this is remarkable, because that's, my fear was like, well, shit. If it's like a third party or whatever, then maybe he's a long shot. He ain't a long shot. He's so established. He's been a part of the fucking parliament. He's been a part of the parliament the whole time. And so all these fucking media pieces, they are so myopic. It's like they don't understand the whole system. There's 2 different ways you can learn things. There's inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So inductive, deductive, there's one of them. One of the reasoning is you read everything and understand the whole thing. So once you get all the information, then you can, form a conclusion. Or there's reasoning where you form the conclusion first, and then you just find reasons to back your preconceived notions. So is that inductive or deductive? That's probably inductive reasoning, right? Inductive reasoning, if what I'm I think inductive reasoning is the better one. To read about the whole system, to know you're not throwing your fucking vote away. If anything, you are definitely voting for something. You're voting for a member of parliament, and they already got 24 seats, so they already got a strong, a coalition, a strong block of voters, and all you could do is just, essentially strengthen it. You're not throwing any fucking thing away. If anything, you'd be making Rainbow Eyes. What a beautiful name right there. Northwest Territories. I might be tempted to vote for Rainbow Eyes. And, in each one of these districts, you'll have to, look at their own personalities and look at their own platforms. And anybody could call themselves anything, right? You could have a progressive, that runs New Democrat, or a conservative or a liberal, right? A progressive conservative, progressive green, progressive. You could have a socialist. You could have a communist. All these could be communist, right? Or anarchist. Or federalist. Hell, maybe they're all federalists, like John Adams. And, this is Canada stuff, so it's a little bit different. But it's not hard to understand. It's not. Trump is trying to break Canada so America will own Canada. And so it is very important, it is very wise, and very important for Canadians to understand their system, so that way they know that they're not throwing any fucking thing away. You could vote your conscience, you could vote for the person that you think is best, and that's fantastic. That's a pretty good system. There's, the senators shouldn't be appointed. You shouldn't have a sovereign. You shouldn't have, the governor general. The governor general, I know that the king never has vetoed anything, but he could. That's a nuclear option. So if there's a government that the king doesn't fucking like, then he'll just, dissolve parliament, right, and just throw brand new elections or some shit. So I don't like that. I don't like how the Senate is appointed. But I'm not against it. They got 5 major parties, and really, I don't want to say it's anybody's game, because when it looks at just this map right here, the Greens have a lot of holes, right? There's hardly any others right there. There's no People's Party here for Egmont, but all the Greens, you got 4 Greens there, 1 independent. There's another gap for the Greens. The Greens aren't doing as bad. That first map just looked terrible, because it looks like they just had a bunch of, blanks. So South Shore, St. Margaret's, they're not going to be able to vote for the New Democratic Party. Let's see if there's a hole right there for the Greens. The Greens actually are doing better than what I thought. That first one just looked like they had. There's 3 missing right there. Let's look at conservatives. I don't really want to check all. There's so many holes with the Greens. With the Greens, they look like they might have half the provinces or something, but they don't have, all of them. And that's a problem, because that means there's a strong likelihood. If you don't have a candidate, then they can't get elected. And it's all about how many of the MPs are voted for, how many of the districts, how many of the House of Common members. If you get more House of Common members elected, then you could get your prime minister. But it's all about these people, the little people, right? The little people of government. And if you know anything about the English Civil War was we have to have a parliament, because parliament is closest to the people, and you can't just have a sovereign asshole doing whatever the fuck he wants to do. Let's look at conservatives, because I've seen holes. 1 hole for the New Democratic Party, 1 hole for the Liberal Party. Do the conservatives? I just read here is a big hole. So if you're in Quebec Center, if you're in Quebec Center, you can't vote for the conservative. If you're in Quebec Center, you'll have to vote for Tommy Bureau. And that might be the only hole that the conservatives had, because according to that article, they had 342. The Liberals, the Conservatives, and the New Democratic Party had 342 candidates for 343 districts, which means they all had 1 candidate missing. None of them had perfectly full slates. But 343, you missed 1. That's batting 99. That's batting 999. That's not batting 1,000, but 999 is pretty fucking good. That's about near perfect. They're not perfect, but they're about near perfect. So there you go. That's a little bit of my understanding about the Canadian election, and how you're not throwing your vote away. You would actually very much be voting for something if you voted for the New Democratic Party. I hope that Jagmeet Singh gets it. Because that's the direction America should have gone. Instead of going with Obama or Biden, instead of going with these conservative Democrats, we should have gone with the working class. We should have gone with the progressive working class people, the working class candidates, the candidates that cared about the 99%. That's precisely what America should have done. We're not able to do it for whatever reasons, a number of reasons. 2-party system, entrenchment, fucking money in politics, whole bunch of fucking reasons. Our electoral system's fucked. But they have a good electoral system in Canada. So good on Jagmeet Singh. I hope Jagmeet Singh wins the damn thing. I hope Jagmeet Singh becomes the prime minister. That's the best thing for Canada to oppose Trump, to have a real strong Canadian. You know? Hey, you know what I'm talking about, Canada? I know you like your hockey pucks and your Maple Leaves. I know you're a bunch of Maple Leaves hockey puck. But you're polite too, right? There was that one guy, that Ford, he said, they won't ever start the fight, but they'll finish it. Okay? So, yeah. Yeah. So that's what Canada needs. Trump is trying to break Canada so he can rule Canada. That's what he's trying to fucking do. And Canada should stay strong by actually voting for a strong Canadian like Jagmeet Singh.